So power rankings for week 18 of Super Rugby. There's a few familiar faces back in some familiar spots, such as the Sunwolves. They had 1 week away from 14th, but after that really big scoreline was put on them by the Waratahs, it's kind of back to usual service. Obviously they had a red card during that game, so it was pretty harsh, but yeah, just because you get a red card doesn't mean you get to concede 70 odd points. So yeah, Waratahs good for you, but Sunwolves unfortunately back to 15th. Also, my Blues played a top team and they gave us a top result. So yeah, still a big gap between the Blues and the rest of the New Zealand teams. They are looking well off the pace. Next, oh, they certainly showed me. The Reds up from 15th, put a good result on the Rebels, who were a team with it all to play for. The Reds showed some real character, and yeah, I'm really looking forward to see what they can do next season, because they've blooded so many young guys that I feel like it has to get better. I mean, another NRC comp for these guys, Wallabies for a few of them. And yeah, bring on 2019 for the Reds. Rounding out the bottom row, despite a win, the Stormers finished their season at the bottom. Another one who had a good result despite nothing really to play for, very similar to the Reds. That they beat a Sharks team which really needed a win, and they managed to hold them off. So good way to send off the season. We'll see if Robbie Fleck keeps his job. And yeah, again, look forward to the next season for them. It's not been an easy one with the injuries and the schedule, but yeah, the results just weren't there away from home. Next, the Bulls, despite their win, impressive as it was over the Jaguares, not quite enough to jump up a spot. They're a team that's only marginally off the pace. They've had weeks where they've looked really good, and then other weeks where they'll just drop the ball. So I guess that's a sign of a team either on the way up or on the way down. I feel like for the Bulls, it's a team on the way up. So it's another team that I would say, come on, bring on next year, and we'll see what they can kind of show us. Next, and down a spot, the Melbourne Rebels. So when they went in and played, I mean, to be fair on the table, the lowly Reds, all they had to do was get a win and yeah, put their foot forward for the playoffs. But now they've left it all to do in the last week away to the Highlanders. It's going to be tough. That was a disappointing result for them. So yeah, we'll see if they can pull some magic out of the hat for the last week. But if other results don't go their way, a promising season may just kind of slip through their fingers. Next, the Brumbies. I'm optimistic about what the Brumbies are doing. That was a close loss they had to the Chiefs, but hey, it was away from home in New Zealand. And really, over the last few weeks, the Brumbies have looked... My daughter's crying. The Brumbies have looked much better. Maybe she's disappointed that the Brumbies are probably not going to make it. But yeah, still got a mathematical chance thanks to that bonus point they picked up, but they would need an absolute kind of stars aligning moment for them to make the playoffs. I think they have to win with a bonus point and hope all the other results go their way. So yeah, tough job they've got against the Waratahs, but we'll see how they go. Next, Sharks. Another good win for them. Well, not good win for them, a big loss for them, sorry. Yeah, they needed a big win, and they let it go. It was a common theme of this week just gone that all the teams pretty much that needed to get a result desperately, the Rebels, the Brumbies, the Sharks, even the Jaguares, weren't able to get the job done. And a lot of the teams with nothing to play for, like the Reds and the Bulls, Stormers, all managed to get results over teams which in theory should have been much more motivated. So disappointing win for the loss for the Sharks. God, I keep thinking they won. Wishful thinking perhaps. But yeah, they're still not out of it. They need to hope that the Highlanders can do a job, and then they get the job done on their end. Next on the bye, the Lions. To be fair, things It didn't go perfectly for the Lions. I mean, a perfect week would have seen the Sunwolves beat the Waratahs, but pretty much everything else went the Lions' way. The Jaguares lost, so the ball's back in the court of the Lions for that final round of the season. If they can beat the Bulls at home, then they'll be guaranteed a home quarterfinal. Next, the Highlanders are down 2. It's not been their weeks in kind of recent weeks. They had to go to the top of the table Crusaders and challenge them in Christchurch. They managed to do it in patches, but not for 80 minutes. The Crusaders are gonna grind most teams into the ground down in Christchurch, and for anybody else to get a win, you feel like the Crusaders are going to have to be off their game and someone else is going to have to put in a blinding performance. So yeah, I mean, credit to the Highlanders for giving it a crack, but at the end of the day it wasn't enough. So they'll be travelling away for their quarterfinal. It just depends on where at the minute. Next, Waratahs up 1 spot. Yeah, a big win over the Sunwolves. I mean, you got to kind of take that into consideration that, hey, it was only the Sunwolves, but they scored 77 points. So, like, they could have easily just taken their foot off the gas once they were up by 20, 30, 40 points, but they just kept on scoring tries. So, whatever the coach kind of said to them at halftime, it worked because they were still pretty tight, and then they just really ran away with it. So that shows a bit of mental fortitude, and we'll see if they can take that into the finals. I really hope, as I said in my last video, that the Brumbies give them a good game next week, because you don't want, if the Waratahs go out and win by 30 or 40 because the Brumbies are trying to play crazy, then you got to wonder if the Waratahs might be a bit not ready for finals. But based on that last performance, they are sharp. Right, next, dropping out of the top row is the Jaguares. A great winning run they've been on. And ordinarily, I don't think they would drop 2 spots, but other teams around them had wins, so it sees them drop 2. They've still got one more game where they could potentially steal top spot in the South African Conference, but also they could finish 8th if they lose and other results don't go their way. So it's very much up in the air for the Jaguares as to where they finish, but hey, at least they got a playoff spot. If they have to travel, then it'll be a big job, but they should be used to that, because them and the Sunwolves do a lot of travel every season. Next, up 2 spots, the Chiefs. Chiefs are starting to get on a good run. A good win over the Highlanders in Fiji, and then a tough win over the Brumbies, who are a resurgent team in Hamilton. So the Chiefs have been kind of off and on, but if they are going to peak, they might just be peaking at the right time. I guess we'll find out next week when they play the Hurricanes. They're another team who were on a bad run, 3 losses in a row. And I guess playing the Blues is just what the doctor ordered, because boy did they bounce back with some clinical moves. Again, if they're peaking, now is the right time to be doing it. And lastly, what can you say about the Crusaders other than they are very, very, very good at what they do? Even in patches when I thought they were flat, they managed to just build phases and build phases and build phases and score tries. So they are going to be tough. And like I said, they are the huge favourites this year. It was between them and the Hurricanes kind of during the season. But man, the Crusaders have just come good for that second half of the season. Those 2 losses they suffered early on are well forgotten, and they are looking just like a well-oiled machine. What do you guys reckon? Who can you see getting results in the last week? How do you think the playoffs are going to stack up? And who are you backing for the comp overall? Anyone who says other than Crusaders, good on you for being brave, and we'll see how that goes. Alright guys, I'll talk to you again soon. See you later.